Good morning, everybody. Uh, we have been discussing about the applications of operational amplifiers, and we have seen that how an operational amplifier acts as an inverting amplifier and how it can be used as a non-inverting amplifier and voltage adder. Now we shall see some of the functions where we can do some bit of wave shaping. Let us discuss about how an operational amplifier can be used as an integrator. First of all, I shall discuss about what is integration. Uh, Please note that signals are time functions. So signals can be of different type and there are time functions like this as shown here. So it may be voltage or current signal. And please note that once it is a time function, once it is a function of some variable, it can be integrated with respect to that function. And if you integrate this waveform, so you will naturally get an output of this type. So with time, so this is equal to integration of Vt dt. Integration starts from 0 and assuming that prior to that the input is 0. So this is the integration of this waveform. So what I mean by integration is the integrator integrates the input waveform and gives the integrated version as the output. And a circuit which can do this function using op amp is as shown here. Use a feedback capacitor to provide feedback from the output to the input terminal and have a resistance at the input terminal and apply it to the inverting terminal and ground the non-inverting terminal. It means we operate the op amp in a single-ended mode, and naturally the feedback has to be negative, and if this is a capacitor C and this is R, then if you apply some voltage VIT in the input, you will get an output voltage V naught T, which is equal to an integrated version of VIT. An integrated version of VIT with a scaling factor which is equal to 1 by RC, and there is a negative sign because the feedback is applied to the negative terminal and it is an inverting amplifier, hence there is a negative sign. So except for the negative sign and the constant, proportionality constant, it gives you the integrated output. So please note that it can be very easily shown that this circuit can act as an integrator. So let us now analyze this circuit and show that this one acts like an integrator. Once this is grounded, since there is a virtual short between these two inputs, for any reasonable input, this input output, this input is almost 0. Therefore, so since this is at ground potential, so this is also at ground potential because it is a virtual short. Hence, the current now that flows through the circuit, which is a time function, I'm not showing it explicitly. So this current can be obtained as Vi divided by R according to the Ohm's law, because that is the voltage applied across the resistance since the other end is 0. Now the same current flows through the capacitance also. And since this side is ground and V naught T is now equal to the potential drop across C due to II itself with an opposite sign. Because this side is ground, current is flowing in this direction, there will be a voltage drop across this capacitance in this direction, and that voltage drop is equal to V naught minus V naught itself. Hence, V naught is equal to minus 1 by C integral I dt, II dt, because the voltage drop across a capacitor is equal to 1 by C integral of the current that is flowing through that dt. Hence, this is equal to, now substitute this expression for II in this expression, then you will get this as minus 1 by RC integral Vi dt. If you show the time dependence here, it is Vit dt. Hence, the output voltage is an integrated version of the input voltage. This is how an integrator, an op-amp can be used as an integrator.
Any other two input terminals are short circuited. So what's the use of amplifier?
Pardon me?
What's the use of amplifier over there? Any of your short circuit?
See, actually, the question there is, what is the role of the amplifier here? The role of the amplifier here is to provide a high amplification so that this feedback principle can be applied. And because of this feedback principle, the virtual short here, if you short circuit this, you won't get any integration out here. It is simply a current flows through this and nothing flows through this if you short this to the ground. And since the operational amplifier provides a very high gain, for almost zero potential it will give you a reasonable output voltage. But please note that this input voltage is very essential. It may be of the order of a fraction of a millivolt, but that is very essential to provide you this output. For analytical purposes, since this is negligible, the current that flows through this is Vi by R. Actually, the voltage drop here is equal to the output voltage drop, the output voltage, this is the output voltage. So this voltage divided by AD, the differential gain of the amplifier, is the input voltage. So this voltage V naught divided by, say, 10 to the power of 4, if the gain is 10 to the power of 4. So that would be the voltage at the input nodes. Now for a reasonably high input voltage, isn't this negligibly small? Hence, for analytical purposes, please note that the current that flows through R is equal to this Vi minus this negligibly small voltage divided by R, which is approximately equal to Vi by R itself. Now this current cannot flow through this, so it has to flow through this. Or to nullify this current, there is an equal amount of current should flow through this. And that's what happens. Hence, V naught C dV naught by dt would be the current that flows through the capacitor, the negative sign. And that's what compensates this, and no current flows through this terminal into the operational amplifier. So this virtual short and the principle of feedback are applicable because of the operational amplifier. If you remove the operational amplifier, input and out, the input and output terminals are isolated and doesn't work like an integrator. I mean, assuming that you are going to short circuit this. Any other question?
So why can't we ground the negative terminal and apply the feedback to the ground?
The question is, why can't we apply the negative terminal to the ground and apply feedback to the positive terminal? I have explained this point earlier, that the feedback we apply is negative feedback for stability of the various parameters of an amplifier, and so that's the reason why we apply the feedback to the negative terminal and not to the positive terminal. Any other question? Now let us see how an op amp can be used as a differentiator. Now a differentiator is similar to what I explained for integration. A voltage differentiator is a differentiator, gives you a differentiated version of the input voltage. So this is the input voltage. Now if we differentiate this, we'll get this function. If you differentiate this triangular function, you will get this square function. So what a voltage waveform does is, it gives a differentiated version of the differentiator does is, it gives a differentiated version of the input voltage. Please note that if you apply a speech signal to a differentiator, it gives you a differentiated version of the speech. I'm sure it would be interesting to listen to that in differentiated version of the speech. Now, a circuit which does the differentiation is as given here. So we use a capacitor at the input and operate the operational amplifier in the single ended mode and provide a feedback resistance R, and let this be C, and apply the input signal here. Now this one gives you, so dVi t by dt as the output, of course with a negative sign because it is an inverting amplifier, and a scaling factor which is equal to RC. So this is what you get as the output voltage. Now let us analyze the circuit and see what we get at the output. Now similar to what we did for the integrator, the input terminals, at the input you have the virtual short, hence the current that flows through the capacitor is naturally, since this side is grounded, VIT drops across the capacitor entirely, almost entirely. Therefore, IIT is equal to C dVi by dt, because it's a capacitor. Now the same current flows through R, and the output voltage V0 is the voltage drop across R with opposite sign, because this side is ground and this side is connected to the output terminal. And therefore, V0T is minus I into R, II into R, and therefore II is given here. Then by substituting we get minus RC, so dVi by dt. Hence the output voltage is a differentiated version of the input voltage except for the negative sign and the scaling factor RC. And we can always see that RC is equal to 1, hence it is minus dVi by dt. Yes. RC can be chosen to be equal to 1. If you want no scaling factor, and if you want positive gain, here if you want to remove the negative sign, have another stage with a gain equal to -1, or have another stage with gain equal to -1 by RC, in which case, so you have say this amplifier with here you have Vi, here you have minus RC dVi by dt, and use another stage here with gain equal to -1 by RC, and what you get here is simply dVi by dt. So the scaling factor and the signs can be easily manipulated using an extra stage or a few extra stages of amplification. Now we can have combinations of these and have different versions of amplifiers in this particular example. Say in this particular example, I introduce a resistance here with value equal to R1, and I apply a voltage V2T. Now this circuit acts as a differentiator as far as VIT is concerned, and as far as VT2 is concerned, this circuit acts like an ordinary amplifier. And since you have different inputs over here connected to the same inverting terminal, it acts like a voltage adder. So all these things put together, please note that it gives you a different function. So here the current that flows through this is I2, and since this is a virtual short, I2 is V2 by R. Now I1 plus I2 combined goes through R, hence the voltage drop across R is equal to R into that current, which is equal to this current plus this current, and this current is minus C dVi by dt, and this current is V2 by R1. Hence the function you will get here in this case is minus RC dVi by dt minus, because it's an inverting amplifier, R by R1 into V2. This is what you get at the output. So this one combines voltage addition as well as integration applications. So like this you can have different kinds of combinations that can be used, and please note that you can solve differential equations using an operational amplifier circuits. You apply an input and you will get an output where the output is the input output relationship is a differential equation. And precisely, so this is the application where this is the application in which we call these circuits as analog computers. So differential amplifiers were being extensively used as analog computers. So nowadays we have very high speed digital computers available which can do such functions like integrations, differentiations, and even more complex things like forming a matrix inversion, and things like that. So in analog computers, we give an input Vi, and there is an analog computer circuit which uses combinations of such circuits, maybe another differentiator here and another addition with something else, and like that. Now we get an output V naught. Now if V naught is a differential equation relating to VIT, so the input output relationship is a differential equation, then an analog computer circuit can be formed from the differential equation, and for different inputs, so you will get different outputs. So that means by applying some input, we can get a solution. We can find out what is the output. Hence, differential equations can be solved on real time. So that is with analog signals, not digital signals, but analog signals, continuous time signals. So that's what is known as an analog computer application. So now I'm discussing about applications where I already discussed about analog computation as an application. Then wave shaping. We can use an operational amplifier for wave shaping. Again, the application falls in the analog computer domain. We can differentiate, integrate, and have combinations of the waveforms. We can have amplification, both inverting and non-inverting. We can use it as an impedance matching. You can use it for impedance matching. Because the input impedance is very high and output impedance is very low, you can use this device to uh, convert a high impedance source to a low impedance source. That means you have a voltage source with a high source resistance. Now you can use an op amp amplifier. So amplifier, I mean you use all this, and at the output, now this whole thing can be used as a source, and the source has some high voltage source and a low output impedance R naught, and this R naught is going to be equal to the op amp's R naught itself, not the high source resistance, and you can have voltage gain as well in the circuit. So it can be used as uh, an impedance matching, not an impedance matching, rather impedance converter. Or you can use it as a unity gain amplifier. Both applications are, or I'm going to use the same circuit. Unity gain amplifier or the source follower. As I explained earlier, the source follower circuit is as given here. You apply the input to the non-inverting terminal and provide feedback to the a short between the output terminal and the inverting terminal. Now if I apply VIT here, so you will get V naught T, which is equal to VIT itself. In this case, the gain is equal to 1 plus RF by R, which is equal to 0, and that is equal to 1. So here in this case, the gain is equal to 1 plus 1. Hence it is a source followed. What difference does it make? The source may be of a high impedance source, and now By using this, you will have a low impedance source. It will act like a low impedance source. So that's what a source follower does. Because of these multiple applications and its small size, operational amplifiers are used as building blocks in many electronic circuits. Circuits using circuits used either in instrumentation or in control systems or in any other electronic circuits, an operational amplifier can be used as a building block. Yes, please, there is a question.
We have the amplification is 1 plus RF by R.
Right.
So RF is 0 and R is 0. So how do we get
R is infinite. R is the resistance connected between this place and to the ground. R is infinity and RF is 0. Hence it is 1 plus 0 by infinity, and it's equal to 1 itself. That is as far as mathematical expression working is concerned. Please note that this is like a virtual short. This is like a virtual short. Hence output voltage is equal to input voltage. Now let us discuss about some important specifications of an operational amplifier, or typical specifications. As I mentioned earlier, the specifications include the differential gain or open loop gain, means without feedback. So which is, so typically 50,000. Then input impedance one mega ohm or hundreds of mega ohms. Gain bandwidth product, for example, for 741 it is 1 megahertz. I'll explain what gain bandwidth product is. Now if you find the frequency response of an operational amplifier, because of so many stages of amplification, so it acts like this. The frequency response is like this. So gain is usually expressed in dB, and the frequency is given here. So the gain, as I said, the open loop gain is 50,000. And with 50,000 gain, the 50,000 gain cannot be obtained for all frequencies. So the 3 dB cutoff frequency may be around a few kilohertz. It is in the kilohertz range. And if you go for higher and higher frequencies, the gain drops. See, earlier we discussed about how an amplifier, RC coupled amplifier, has some response, where the gain is a function of frequency. Because of the junction capacitances of an amplifier, the input signal is shorted from base to ground, base to the emitter. And because of which reason, at high frequencies, the effective signal that is applied to the base emitter junction goes down, and as a result the gain goes down, and gain becomes a function of frequency. This has been already discussed during the RC coupled amplifier discussion. So because of which the gain is a function of frequency and it falls with frequency like this. And please note that it's a DC amplifier. It doesn't use any coupling capacitor. Hence, at zero frequency also it gives high gain. Now, through feedback arrangement, we may use it as an amplifier with gain equal to say minus 100 of that order. So in which case the frequency response of the amplifier may be like this. So with which the cutoff frequency of the amplifier goes up by the factor 1 plus A beta. So during the feedback amplifiers, while discussing about the feedback amplifiers, we have seen that the bandwidth increases with feedback by an amount equal to 1 plus A beta. Hence, in this case also, a feedback amplifier, when you use an operational amplifier in feedback configuration, the bandwidth increases. So the bandwidth with feedback is equal to 1 plus A beta times the bandwidth without feedback in a typical amplifier. Therefore, the gain bandwidth product, so gain into bandwidth is fixed. If you get high gain, bandwidth will be lower. And if you get low, let me show it here. If the gain is high, bandwidth would be low. And if the gain is low, bandwidth can be high. So when you use an operational amplifier as a feedback amplifier, and in the process you operate it with some gain, and depending on the gain at which you operate, you will get a particular bandwidth. And the gain bandwidth product is constant. If 1 megahertz is the gain bandwidth product, at 1 kilohertz frequency, you can get a gain of 1000. If you are operating the amplifier at a gain of 100, it can have a bandwidth of 10 kilohertz. If you want an input, if you have an input signal with bandwidth equal to 100 kilohertz, and you want to amplify using this amplifier, you can get a gain of only 10. So the gain bandwidth product is fixed in operational amplifiers. Why is it so? From the principles of the feedback amplifiers, it is obvious.
Bandwidth product speaks for this slant region.
The question is whether it is fixed for it is valid only for the slant region. But please note that this is negligibly small, and the gain bandwidth product is, that doesn't mean that for 0 voltage you get infinite gain. So if it is so this curve will go up like this. So the gain bandwidth product is constant term is applicable only for beyond certain frequencies. It's not applicable for low frequencies. So next, CMRR, the common mode rejection ratio, which is of the order of 10 to the power of 5, is a specification. And input offset voltage, first let me explain the output offset voltage is a specification. It is of the order of millivolt. when both the inputs are connected together and they are grounded, the how much output is expected? The output that is expected is 0 volts because the input is absolutely 0. But we find that in practical operational amplifiers, we find some output voltage like say of the order of a millivolt. This is because in an operational amplifier circuit, we have a level translator to bring down the level of the output voltage to the 0 volts. And this level translator may not provide complete level translation, and there may be some small error because of which you will get some offset voltage. This can be made to be 0 through some arrangement. By applying some voltage at the input, you can see that the output voltage is 0. So this voltage is known as an offset, output offset voltage. Equivalently, you have an input offset voltage for the output to be 0. You may have to apply some input voltage you may have to apply some input voltage to make the output voltage equal to 0. That means that voltage which is required to be connected at the input voltage to properly balance the amplifier so that it gives an output voltage is known as the input offset voltage. It is of the order of a millivolt. So this is because of the imbalance between the two amplifiers you use in a differential amplifier stage. An op amp typically uses 2 or 3 difference amplifier stages, and if the two transistors in the difference amplifier stage do not match with each other, we have some change in the gains, some difference in the gains, and some difference in the input currents also. So because of which we have an input offset voltage. Similarly, an input offset current, the current that is required to be applied to balance the amplifier is known as an input offset current. So this is of the order of 10 nanoamperes. This is primarily because of the difference in the biasing currents and also difference in the other differences in the two transistors at the input. And a very important specification of an op amp is the slew rate. In some op amps like 741, it is like 1 volt per microsecond. In an op amp amplifier, like this, if you apply a step input at the input, the output is not a perfect step. If you magnify and look at it microscopically, you will find that the output rises slowly. For the output also to rise instantaneously, the amplifier should be a high frequency amplifier. The amplifier should be a wideband amplifier. But because the bandwidth is fixed and the amplifier responds slowly for high frequencies, or to a lesser extent for high frequencies, the output rises slowly. And the rate at which the output can rise for a step input is known as slew rate. It is of the order of 1 volt per microsecond. So the rising time and the fall time, rise time and fall times are of the order of a few microseconds. Any questions on the specifications of operational amplifiers?